Looking at her messages of support, Debbie Purdy now knows it's unlikely her husband will be prosecuted if he helps her to die. New guidelines issued after the law lords demanded clarification of the Suicide Act in July will help Debbie navigate her way through a law that could make a criminal out of Omar.
At least we know at the moment these are printed guidelines, so it's not down to a whim of what somebody thinks behind closed doors. And I think that is a massive move forward for transparency and for clarity so that the public understand the law that governs them.
The guidelines lay out the factors that would make the CPS less likely to pursue a prosecution, including if the victim unequivocally indicated a wish to commit suicide, if the victim had no possibility of making a recovery from terminal illness or physical disability, or if it was clear that a person who assisted was wholly motivated by compassion. The CPS would be more likely to prosecute if the victim was under 18 and their ability to make a decision was impaired by illness or disability, and if there was evidence of pressure being put on the victim. Examining all 29 points laid out by the DPP might affect how someone who wants an assisted suicide proceeds.
The DPP says there are risks that the only people who would know about this were the person who might be at risk of being prosecuted and the person who is now dead. So it's obviously a good idea to make sure there's evidence. You might not just video the suicide itself, you might video the conversation between the person who's helping and the person who wants to take his or her life. And that would be very useful evidence when the police come forward.
But others argue the guidelines aren't that helpful. They make the Suicide Act less flexible.
There have been 117 investigations and no prosecutions to date, so these guidelines certainly can't liberalise the law. The only thing they might do is an unintended consequence of lead to its first prosecution if the guidelines are applied too rigidly.
But at least for now, campaigners like Debbie Purdy have some help to stay within the boundaries of a law that's almost half a century old.